Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear from both sides on a bill that allows state officials to kill endangered Mexican gray wolves that prey on livestock. And we'll learn about an arts organization, an arts congress that is, in which the arts community informs lawmakers on the importance of the arts in Arizona. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. A state House committee today approved a bill to roll back Medicaid expansion, which was approved just 8 months ago. State Representative Adam Quazman sponsored the bill, saying the state can't afford it. Representative Juan Mendez called the bill a, quote, sad attempt at campaigning. Because Quazman is running for Congress in District 1. House Speaker Randy Tobin is also in that District 1 race, and earlier today, Tobin's attempts to slow down the use of Medicaid by able-bodied individuals was also approved by committee. A bill has been introduced in the state legislature that would authorize employees of the Arizona Department of Agriculture to kill endangered Mexican gray wolves that prey on livestock. Two other bills relating to that issue have also been introduced. Sandy Barr, director of the Grand Canyon chapter of the Sierra Club, and Bas Aja, executive vice president of the Arizona Cattle Feeders Association, are here to discuss the issue. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here.
Thank you, Ted.
All right, SB 1211 here. Rancher, what does it say? You tell me. What does it say?
Well, basically, it says what you talked about. It says that it authorizes an employee of the Department of Agriculture to kill endangered Mexican gray wolves if they've been preying on livestock. It's unconstitutional, it's contrary to federal law, it's unethical, and it's also irresponsible of the legislature to encourage an employee of the state to break the law. And so we think that this bill needs to die a quick death in the legislature.
Why is this bill in this manner necessary?
Well, Ted, you know, the issue is very complex. When you deal with an issue that's got nature, it's got people, it's got government programs, it's got lack of transparency, it's got distrust, it's got wild animals and wild areas. It's not as easy as some people think. And quite frankly, we are looking for management tools. One of the managers in the program is the United States Department of Agriculture, the Arizona Department of Agriculture, the Arizona Game and Fish, and this is a tool that's used throughout the world in managing animals. Sometimes they have to be euthanized.
There are only 83 wolves in Arizona and New Mexico. They're still listed as endangered. They're not recovered. They're far from being recovered. And it is not a management tool that we use with endangered species. There are lots of other tools to use. There are ways to avoid conflicts. There's a program that helps ranchers avoid those conflicts. That's what we need to focus on, not encouraging killing these animals.
Well, the importance to understand is we didn't introduce this conflict. Those ranching families in the blue didn't introduce this conflict. Groups that sued and litigated introduced this conflict. So once you introduce conflict, you're going to have issues, especially with a wild animal that's the top of the food chain predator, who is best known for two things. Its howl and its killing abilities. So when you do that and you introduce that conflict into a wild area like that, there's going to be other conflicts occur. And this happens to be one of them.
Is this by its nature, by the nature of the animal, by the nature of the area where the animal is being introduced, again, is conflict by its nature going to happen?
Well, yes, there will be conflicts, and it's how do you address those conflicts? And one of the ways that you do that is to try to avoid it as much as possible, and there are programs for doing that. The issue here is not introducing conflict, it's about restoring an animal that was totally gone from the landscape and ensuring that it's fulfilling its role in the ecosystem. It's important to have wolves there. They ensure that the elk and the deer are fitter. They help to bring back riparian vegetation, the vegetation along rivers and streams, because they keep those elk moving instead of the elk just hanging out there and eating everything in sight. It's important to have them on the landscape. It's a commitment that we, the American people, have made and we Arizonans have made. And it's just wrong for the legislature to promote this kind of irresponsible activity.
Well, keeping animals fit is an interesting concept with the wolf. You know, the wolf can't read the bumper sticker that says live in peace. You can't read that. It's known and is best for killing. And so, you know, when it's out there, and that's what it does naturally. It's not like it's something bad. It's what it knows and it's what it does very, very, very well. And that's because they pack and they know how they can take down anything that exists. But most importantly, what you have to understand where these ranch families are coming from is that they're coming from an area where they just had over a 500,000 acre fire and a lack of management. They're coming from an area where they watched a whole generation of fish, frogs, and owls die in that fire, and nobody seems to care. They come from an area where those fires created flash floods that the streams ran black, and nobody seemed to care. So now that they're having to live in an area, and we've introduced this top of the food chain predator, and they're kind of waving their hands and kind of help us. Let's make us a partner, not a victim.
And there is a program for that. And instead of wasting $250,000 and lining the pockets of another law firm, the legislature could allocate those dollars for the interdiction program, which helps the ranchers. And Craig Miller from Defenders of Wildlife talked about that at the legislature the other day. Unfortunately, the people on the committee did not seem interested in problem solving. They're more interested in, thumbing their nose at the federal government.
Well, the fact of the matter is the litigation that's been introduced over the wolf has massively been done by the other side. The people, they litigated to define the area. They litigated to list the wolf. They've litigated to get rid of the adaptive management operation committee that we had. They've litigated about the numbers. They are litigating the wolf to death. What we need is management. We need management because when you can manage animals, when you manage land, when you manage people, you understand that those are tools. That's not litigation. You can't do that very good in court.
This payment for presence plan, the idea of compensating ranchers for tolerating wolves and keeping the compensation there for cattle lost to wolves. A couple of ways to compensate ranchers who might be affected by these animals who might affect their livestock. Is that not a compromise? Is that not something to look into?
What we have told people about that issue is there's a lot of history with that. And the history is when our government opened up these lands years ago and told people, go west, settle the lands. And then the Army came along and said, raise beef for us. We'll buy all the beef that you can raise. Well, guess what? Look what we've done, the wonderful food we produce. What we told people years ago on the wolf is tell us how many wolves you want, where you want them, and then what is it worth to the public to have them there.
The idea of killing, go ahead, please.
Well, obviously, it's worth a lot. The public has invested a lot in restoring wolves. And the bottom line is wolves kill very few cattle. That's really the least of their problems, to be honest with you. The cattle die from disease, a lot of other things. Wolves is way down on the list. And some ranchers are interested in problem solving, but unfortunately, the Arizona legislature isn't. This is what they do year after year. They try to, they pass things that are blatantly unconstitutional. They don't support recovery of endangered species, despite the fact that the public in Arizona very strongly supports the Endangered Species Act, supports recovery of wolves.
Please?
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that would be all great if it was true. Unfortunately, I am somewhat of an expert on cattle. I'm not an expert in your field, but I am on cattle and I am in herds. I've come from 25 generations of herdsmen. And I grew up watching the relationship between predator and prey. I have watched hundreds of interactions between predators and prey. And I can tell you, it's not a really pretty thing. But it's the way it works out there. So when you begin to understand that relationship between a top of the food chain predator and all of the rest of the animals, and then the people that are in that area, then you begin to understand where people come from when they have a program that has no transparency. What they see it as is this great big government surveillance system, because they're in an area of the blue where they very seldom saw people. And they kind of liked it that way. And now what they have is they've got government officials on the ground with telemetry. They've got government officials in the air with airplanes surveilling. And they're like, can't somebody kind of bring us in the loop on
When
some
the
of this
wolves
stuff?
are recovered, we won't need all of that. And that's one of the things that we want to see. We want to see them recovered in that area and in other parts of the state. So we have healthy ecosystems, and so we have the animals playing the role they're intended to play. I know what predator-prey relationships are, and I also have looked at the numbers. The numbers indicate that they don't take very many cattle. There are a lot of other reasons that the cattle die. Again, it's the least of the problems that the ranchers have out there, and there is a program for helping with it, and I don't understand why there's so much resistance to actually making this work.
Well, those numbers aren't quite right, but I'm interested to know now that you spoke in delisting is such a great thing that I didn't believe the Sierra Club was supporting the delisting of the northern wolf.
They're not recovered.
Oh, okay.
When
40,000 and we're not recovered. What's the number?
Well, first of all, just using numbers doesn't tell you much of anything. If you look at the science, and I've looked at it a lot, you want populations that are ecologically effective. They're fulfilling their role. Having 83 wolves in a small part, relatively small part of Arizona and New Mexico is not recovered.
And you hit on the science, and it's very important because the way our folks, the ranch families up there see it, and they've shared with me, is that they care for animals. That's their living and livelihood. And they're watching this program, and they're saying this is the cruelest science experiment they have ever seen. They're harassing these animals to death. They're chasing them, catching them, collaring them, pulling them out of dens, putting numbers on them. They are harassing them.
With that in mind, because we're running out of time here, last question for you. Can the Mexican gray wolf in any number survive in Arizona? Should it survive in Arizona? It sounds like it's a beast out there.
Right. The wolves are out there now, and we're living with the wolves now. It's uncomfortable in many instances, but what we want is a better management program. But the fact of the matter is their real range is in Mexico, hence
That's not correct.
its name.
That is not correct.
Well, what do we call it? What's its name?
Well,
Roy McBride was the gentleman
Canis
that trapped.
lupus bailey, yes.
Yes, Roy McBride trapped the
we have
last
Mexican
Mexican
spotted
gray
owls
wolf.
as well. You know that.
In
We
northern
have California
Mexico.
condors as well. You know that common names do not reflect where they're from. The range of the Mexican gray wolf is into Arizona and New Mexico. That's well documented.
We are on the very extreme edge, northern
Yeah.
range.
We need to stop it right there.
Yep.
We never even got to the fact of whether or not this is constitutional, but maybe we'll
It's
get to
not.
that at another
It's
time.
not.
I'll leave that to Paul Bender.
All right, good to have you both here.
Thank you.
From the internationally famous Riverside Park Ballroom here in Phoenix, Arizona, we present one of the nation's great Western swing dance bands, Bob Fyatt and all the Western Playboys.
Well, I ain't got nobody, and nobody, baby, cares for me. Oh, that shark has such pretty teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white.
Expand your horizon with the Arizona Horizon website. To get there, go to azpbs.org. Click on the Arizona Horizon tab at the top of the screen. Once there, you can access many features, watch interviews by clicking on the video button. You can also find out what's on Arizona Horizon for the coming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or want to buy a video, that's all on the website too. Want to learn about specific topics like immigration or the legislature? You can visit our special web sections. Show your support for Arizona Horizon at azpbs.org/Arizona Horizon.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Art Beat looks at an effort by the arts community to educate lawmakers on the importance of the arts in public policy. The Arizona Arts Congress was held yesterday with hundreds of advocates from around the state converging on the Capitol. Joining us now is Rusty Foley, Executive Director of Arizona Citizens for the Arts, and Steve Martin, Managing Director of Child's Play, a theater for kids and families in Phoenix. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
An Arts Congress. Describe that for us, please.
Arts Congress is the one opportunity arts supporters have every year to come together at the state capitol to meet with their legislators from their home districts to talk about the impact and the importance of arts in their home local communities. We gather, we have some arts activities going on in the mall, but the most important part is the one-on-one meetings that arts supporters have with their legislators.
So were you able to meet with at least every district was represented? Did you get close?
Every district was represented, and we met with just about every legislator. And if we didn't, we at least dropped by the office and said hello.
And so what kind of issues were discussed?
Well, really, the issues that we're focusing on these days with respect to the arts is really the remarkable impact that arts have on local economies, on local community life. You know, arts are in excess of a $500 million industry in Arizona, and that impact extends to every community in Arizona. The primary means of affecting arts in the local communities by the state is really through the Arizona Commission on the Arts. And one of our purposes at Arts Congress is to speak for the Arizona Commission on the Arts and for financial support for the Arizona Commission.
When you speak to lawmakers, when you address these issues, what kind of response?
Oh, yesterday the response was terrific, at least with the legislators I spoke to in my district. And I'm in the Chandler, Tempe area. One of the things that they're interested in knowing was the impact of the funding dollars received by the organizations. That was extremely important to them. For my organization specifically, we got a fairly sizable increase in our grant support last year, and we were able to parlay that into an additional staff person. So we actually added to the workforce in our area, but we were also able to increase the work that we do for our organization in the schools as well.
Were the questions about the schools, I guess, were paramount as well. What did you hear from the lawmakers?
Right. Well, you know, they want to know, they want to understand the value, to speak to them in their terms of value. And so when we do that, we talk about workforce development. We talk about being able to attract businesses to the area that's going to increase employment numbers in the area. We also talk about making sure that we're educating our young people in a way that makes them want to stay here and work, and make sure that we're doing innovative education reform projects as well in the schools. And the other thing that we like to talk about with legislators is how that money, like Rusty said, goes back to the local economy. So we're attracting, 150,000 young people and families to the Tempe Center for the Arts in Tempe. And so those legislators really like to hear that, those kinds of numbers are coming in, and then subsequently supporting other local businesses in the area, restaurants, et cetera.
Is it a different approach when you're speaking with lawmakers than it might be if you were speaking with city leaders, with business leaders?
I'm not so sure that it is, because really I think what all of those groups share is an interest in growing the Arizona economy, helping our economy come out of this recession, attracting new business, creating attractive, livable communities, and the arts play a role in all of that. And as Steve says, contributing to improvement in our schools and excellence in education. They all share those interests, and the arts have a critical role to play in all of that.
Is that message getting across?
I think it's starting to get across. I think we have changed the way we talk about ourselves a little bit because we've realized that we have a certain kind of contribution to make to communities that maybe we haven't been as clear as we should be about it. And it is indeed that there's a very tangible commitment to and impact on local business, tourism, schools.
And everybody is measuring that impact, and it's important for the arts to continue to do that, to show what they do. We've gotten a couple of sizable national grants for our education programs. We go into the schools and work with them. We don't do it anymore unless we've got an assessment metric set up and that we're working with qualified researchers that will track the progress of those programs on not only the teachers that we work with, but the students we work with. Very fascinating, one of our programs showed that teachers who used our tools, our arts drama tools, in their classrooms, their students showed a 20% increase in their writing test scores versus the students who were in the control group. We have actual numbers that actually show this, the improvement and the use of the arts in the classroom and how important it can be.
And I asked Rusty if the message is getting across. Do you think the message is getting across more now that the Great Recession is somewhat in the rearview mirror, although it's still showing up in certain spots?
I don't know that the recession played a role in that. I think that there's been confusion in education for a long time and what tools were necessary and what assessment tools were necessary. I think that all of that is finally starting to settle down, and we're starting to see an integration of arts into the education process. And it's an integration as opposed to an additional program. That this is really needs to go hand in hand with teaching math, science, reading, and writing. It isn't, oh, and then let's do flute class.
Yeah. Is that the best way to discuss the importance of the arts in general?
Well, I think that all of us are looking for solutions to the economy and the challenges in the economy in Arizona. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about solutions. We know we have, in recent years, we have developed more economic research around the impact of the arts, and we know that for every dollar that is invested into the arts in Arizona, we return $1.50 back into the economy. That's a good return on investment. That's economic growth. That's jobs, as Steve says. It's support for other services. It's more tax revenue, and that's what people want to talk about today in Arizona. How do we continue to pull ourselves out of this recession? And the arts have an answer to that.
How did the arts handle the recession? How did you handle the recession?
It's been a very difficult challenge for us because for my organization, we work a lot with the schools. And so because school budgets were so up in the air every year, it was very difficult for us to count on the revenue that we were getting for school fees and attendance at our performances. We also saw dramatic drops in corporate, particularly in corporate giving. The past 18 months, we've seen that maybe it's hit bottom. Well, it's actually risen for us. Our corporate giving is going to be up this year, our foundation giving is going to be up this year, and our individual giving is going to be up. Those are the things that support the work that we do for children. Ticket revenue is still kind of flat. I think that families are still unsure about what's going on in the economy these days, but we're feeling much more optimistic about what's going on. I think that other arts organizations are feeling that way as well, but we think that the getting out of that hole is going to be a long process.
The idea of, and not just the arts, but in other aspects of society, things were forged by the fire of the recession. You had to do what you did with, and then maybe you can get out of this thing even better than you came into it. Any indication of that with the arts?
Absolutely, absolutely. Organizations like Steve's and arts organizations all over Arizona in these last several years, they haven't simply been waiting around for the economy to turn. They have re-engineered themselves. They have adjusted their business models. They, as I say, have worked very hard to demonstrate their relevance to the community. One of the reasons we felt it was so important this year to have conversations with legislators about the Arizona Commission on the Arts is because the Commission on the Arts itself has been an instrument of change in this. In their granting guidelines, they are emphasizing fiduciary responsibility. They're emphasizing how arts organizations can demonstrate their connection to the community. They're emphasizing all of those things that really demonstrate the value of arts.
Innovative delivery approaches. Where are we delivering our art, and how are we, and how do we increase access?
Well, that brings up a question, and it's maybe a little far afield, but not too much, I hope. The impact of technology on the arts. I mean, you can walk around, it's like everyone's got a TV now in their back pocket. I mean, how does that impact what you do as a live theater experience?
Well, for theater, technology's always had an impact. When movies came out, they said, "Oh, that's the end of theater." You know, television came out, "Oops, that's the end of movies and theater," and that hasn't been the case. People like the social atmosphere that exists when you attend a live performance and you're all experiencing the same emotions and the same impact together in that one place, and it's that one moment in time. And so I think that in music is the same way, and dance, and I do think that it will transcend technology. It's the communication. Technology is becoming a new communication vehicle for us about how we talk to people and get them to our venues. You know, I love the Arizona Republic, but 35-year-old moms do not read the newspaper, unfortunately.
Well, we certainly hope they're watching Arizona Horizon, and
Exactly.
we certainly hope they enjoyed having both of you on. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.